quick question, and you don't have to give up the secret sauce if you don't want to. But what is your process when you come up with something from conception to actually installation? Is there a particular process that's native to you?
Or do you have like some kind of food that you eat?
Yeah, do you have a food that you eat?
No.
Like how do you
sleep on one side of the bed? Like
how does the juice flow? How do you get inspired?
Okay. If we're gonna talk about what food I eat, I have gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance. I don't eat sugar. No.
Here we go. Secret sauce, y'all.
See, I always say that for all the artists, for all my fellow friends, and whoever would ask me this, it's all about research. Okay. You have to read, you have to look, you have to see, you have to be more curious to know more.
Right.
Okay. Plus, really, you have to research. It's all about research. It's all about like, why this? Because you have to ask yourself before people asking you why, what, how. Sure. And what it stands for and these stuff. So if you're not gonna do your own research, it's gonna be worthless. It doesn't have any value, to be honest. Not even for yourself. The worst thing that for any human, before being an artist, for any human, like lying to yourself is way worse than lying to people.
I agree.
Because lying to yourself as if you're lying actually to your God.
Yeah, true.
And to your own self, which is like exactly. So and I talk to myself a lot, to be honest. I fight with myself a lot, and it's not easy. Believe me, it's not easy. Sometimes I do have this block for months. Like I cannot think about anything,
right.
And suddenly I would have the idea in blink, and I would start like working on it. I have a friend of mine. He said like you're never tired when it is about art. But if I would tell you, let's go for a coffee, you'd say, no, I'm tired. I just want to sleep.
When it comes to, I want to go back to feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. Art is one of those things where people, especially the viewer, I don't know what it is, tells you that I can do this or I can do it better.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, you do have people like that.
People always want to criticize and think that like they have this habit of saying, oh, I can do this.
Of course.
So as an artist, because you've been in the game now for so long, and your skin is so thick now.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, that probably must have been getting under your skin. So how'd you deal with that? Still. But how do you deal with people that don't have any idea of the work behind it? Because all they're seeing is the finished product.
Of course.
They don't understand the inspiration, the conception, the steps, the materials, all these steps that gather to where that piece is right now.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that kind of malicious?
It's not malicious.
I'll say malicious because, maybe not malicious, but I don't know what word to use.
But some people are haters of.
But they're haters. Pretty much, they're haters.
No.
Sometimes people do that.
Well, yes, I understand your point of view, but even like it's not even normal. People would say that to you. One of your fellow artists would come out and say, "I can do this."
No, I'll tell you why.
You got my point.
That's competition, though.
Yes,
right?
yes.
No, but I'll tell you why. Okay, because you made a comment before on social media. You see these people that like just like throw paint.
Oh yes, of course.
And then the average person would be like, "What? How's that art?" Like I
would ask this question sometimes to myself, and I was like, "What is this? What I'm seeing? Is this up?" No, the formation of art and the definition of art today, especially nowadays, actually, is way different.
Exactly right.
You got my point. Yes. Especially like with the invention of the abstractism and all of these new schools, like the digital art school and all of this. Yeah. I cannot deny the foundation of these schools.
Okay.
And I have to accept them whether I like it or not. You got my point. Even if it is not my taste, but I have to accept it. I do have, for example, my own art collection at home, and I do have some pieces that are abstract.
Yes.
And because it meant something to me, you got my. Suddenly, you will pass by one piece, and you was like, "Wow, like it hit you from the inside." That's the value of art itself. Here's the value. It's not about. For me. It's not about like, oh, I can do it. Nobody can do it. Believe me. Nobody can do it because every single piece of this art, whether it's good for you or not, it has a value for someone. And we're not one person in this community. We're more than 8 billion people today.
True.
You got my point? And every single one of them has its own identity, thoughts, and everything. So I cannot interact with the same art piece the way you're interacting or the way Hamza's interacting. It might mean something for me. It might mean nothing for you. It might mean, garbage for him. He would look at, what the heck? What is this?
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay for that piece, for example. And it would be expensive. You got my point. So it's different from one person to another. For my art, I label my art as mainly classic and to applied, more than being abstract. Because I'm more interested actually on the details. So I love the classic art. I love what Michelangelo did. I love what Leonardo da Vinci did.
Yes.
Yeah, I love what, especially nowadays, we do have lots of artists that work with the classic, especially when we're talking about, like, for example, in the, if we're gonna talk about the region, like in Egypt, for example, Mahmoud Mukhtar, or for example, in Kuwait or in Lebanon, there's a plenty of sculptors who did amazing work, and it was purely classic. And I love that. I love that school. But sometimes you have to twist it and take it actually to a new dimension, to a new horizon, actually, where you can meet with people sometimes. You cannot like be purely classic, you cannot be purely, let's say, contemporary, but you have to mix between them. But when it is about art installation, it's totally different. Yeah, art installations are different because it's a dimension that not all artists can do. This is one. Second, it's a total different, how can I say, field when it is how you're feeling, because it goes beyond like your third dimensions or fourth dimensions. It's a total different interpretation for people as well. So, and it's different from one person to another. When I did, for example, Echo of Lost Innocence, the main target of it, the main purpose of the big installation is to show people the impact of numbers.
Yes.
I want to get to it, but I understood this completely. I have a different, what do you call it, understanding of this.
Have you seen it when it wasn't shaded?
Yeah.
No, I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I saw it. So the way, I don't want to, because I kind of want to build up to it.
Yeah.
But I understood this differently. The way
Okay.
you actually displayed it.
Yeah.
I had a different inspiration or aspiration to it.
okay, that's great. That's a great.
We'll get to that in a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So,
So
this is really cool.
So every single piece of art is unique to the person receiving it.
Yes.
Whether he will like it or not.
Yes.
So and back to your question, how I would accept such critique from people.
From the haters.
No, haters hate themselves. They don't hate.
You're right.
So
That's a good point.
It's a good
yeah.
point.
So
That's good.
to be honest,
Self-love.
to be honest, sometimes yes, it hit me hardly, and sometimes it doesn't, depending on who's telling me this. If it is someone I appreciate, especially when, like for example, I do have some artists that I do respect, and sometimes I go back to them actually to receive their own critique about my pieces. And to be honest, most of them they would criticize me regarding like the technique or the production rather than the idea itself. They cannot. That's something that I like about this relationship between me and them. And they would say like the idea is beautiful, but maybe you have to work more on the production side, more on the detail side, because after all, see, we're learning every single day. Life is a school on a daily basis, and you have to allow yourself to learn on a daily basis. Otherwise, you wouldn't develop. You wouldn't go further with your career. But when it is someone who doesn't have the experience, or who doesn't have like the background, I would accept it. It wouldn't hit me, to be honest. It would be like, okay, yeah, I understand. Maybe you're right, for example. And some of them, they might have a perspective that you wouldn't see it.
Fair enough.
Yes. So it might. Critique is really important actually for artists. Otherwise, it won't work for you. You cannot have all these people clapping for you and saying, "Oh, you're amazing." No, that's fake.
You can't have a bunch of yes
No,
men.
that's fake.
You can't have it.
So, when you're talking about an artist, is a good artist a natural artist, or does a good artist have to go to school to cultivate their talent? Or is it a bit of both?
There is no standard. I know some self-taught artists that they have amazing pieces. They did amazing pieces, and I know some artists who learned art. But see, art is, I believe it's a talent. It's a talent that's somehow inside you, but you just need to know how to grow it and how to develop it. You cannot just grow a talent, whether it's art or not. Any talent cannot be grown or developed if you're not working on it, if you're not nourishing it actually with I don't know, with books and sightseeing and discussions and debates and these stuff.
Right.
So I studied art. I studied history as well, but I believe that it was a talent somehow within me, and I nourished it actually by myself. My brother also is an artist as well, and he's an amazing artist, to be honest.
Same,
because he paints actually. He paints, and he had one exhibition in Feb over here, and it was sold out, to be honest.
Wow.
And it was also about Palestine.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah, but it was super. The difference between us, like I don't take stuff. I don't take stuff with political aspects. He takes it actually with purely political aspects, and that's something actually which is totally different between each other.
Right.
But when we sit together and discuss, we always fight. I would say like I don't like it. It's rubbish, and he would say like, oh, as if your art is better. You got my point. So,
but is that sibling rivalry or is that pure? Just like
brothers.
No. This is pure art.
Is art? Or is it brotherly hate?
Right.
No. This is pure art. We love each other.
Okay.
You're a bigger brother? Big
I'm
brother?
the bigger one.
Okay.
So we always fight. Like for example, I remember one of his painting, and he had like a nude scene, and I was like, that's not gonna work over here. You need to change it. And he was like, no, I'm an artist. I should have the freedom. I said like the freedom in Switzerland, not over here. So you have to understand. See, that's something totally also like artists has to understand the environment and the community they're living in.
And the culture.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Because if you're not going to respect the culture that somehow you're related to it right now, you wouldn't succeed.
No.
Yeah, you wouldn't succeed.
You saved his career.
Yes, exactly.
You should. That's why you're a big bro.
Big brother.
Yeah.
That's
that's something totally different. He doesn't see it like that, but anyways.
Don't worry. Eventually he'll see it.
Yeah.
One day, inshallah. Don't worry about it.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Actually, it's funny you mentioned school because, see, I'm also a teacher as well, right? And people in education look at the big three: math, science, and language. Whatever language, English now.
English, yeah.
Okay? Art is one of those courses that people don't take serious in school.
True.
It's unfortunate.
True.
And especially being Muslim, we have so many artists that are Muslim from different times of history.
That's true.
And different countries around the world. So and art is in so many other subjects.
True.
So there's art in mathematics, there's art in science.
Of course.
There's art in poetry.
Yeah.
And art is such a strong foundation within the religion that but somehow people do not take it serious, or they think it's a easy course or a joke subject or whatever. What do you tell people that like art's everywhere around us? How can we tell them that like we need art? It's a foundational thing.
Of course. See, when we don't know anything about our history if it is not about art.
Exactly.
If we're talking, let's say, for example, nowadays about Islamic art is not only like art or architecture itself.
Yes.
It's about astronomy, it's about poetry, it's about language, literature, and all of these aspects together, all these fields actually are under the umbrella of something so-called Islamic art.
Correct.
Okay, now if you go, for example, to the Islamic Museum of Museum of Islamic Art, you go from one hall to another, you will find like carpets, vases, utilities, clothing, and
utensils.
All of this is art.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's funny actually, especially in our region, that we don't believe in art but we're living with art on a daily basis.
Everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Even the clothing that you're wearing, it's art.
Yeah.
Anything, the car, it's art. It's a purely art. It started actually with a sketch. Cars started with a sketch. Anything we're wearing, anything we're using nowadays actually is related to art. And it's funny how our schools actually are still not
taking it serious.
Yeah, of course.